Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and I have Mateen as my guest co-host today. And my guest today is Andrea. So, Andrea, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Yeah, so I live in North Dallas, and I own and operate White Rock Granola, and we make delicious granola in 7 flavors. And I'm a longtime entrepreneur. This is my 5th company. So
Awesome. So, how did you get the idea to start White Rock Granola?
Well, a friend of mine actually had the business. So I used to sell her granola in my previous company, which was Rooster Home and Hardware in East Dallas. And I had the product there as a snack, customers could come in and buy it. But my team and we got hooked on it because it's high energy and very filling. So, that afternoon time, that 2-3 o'clock when you're starving, it's perfect for that. It was great to take home and have as a midnight snack. And then I really got hooked on it. So it was right at the beginning of COVID, like around March of 2020, I guess. And I was down at the Dallas Farmers Market, and I ran into Renee, the lady that owned the business. And she was telling me that she was very tired and just, was kind of exhausted, I guess, and a little stressed. Here, COVID starting, nobody knew what was going to happen with the farmers markets and so forth. And she was thinking of closing the business. And I'm like, whoa, you can't do that because I'm hooked on your granola. And so we started chatting, and I said, hey, I've sold my previous company. I don't have a lot to do, so why don't I buy you out? And she and her husband had a dream of moving to Arkansas and retiring. So they put their house on the market. A couple months later, they had sold it, and I took over the business. So spent really most of that year learning how to bake granola. Renee and Mark stayed on through that fall, almost till Christmas. And so I was able to learn the business from them, and they did a great job.
Awesome. So, yeah, that's really cool. And I think, buying a business definitely can be challenging, but I think also can have lots of advantages because, building something from scratch is like so many startups fail, right? But if you buy something that that you love the product and has a good, market, it makes it so much easier.
Well, and I'd owned 4 businesses before, and I'd always started them from scratch. So this was the first time that I took someone else's idea and kind of ran with it. And Renee, her main focus was going to the farmers markets. She did a market every Saturday and pretty much every Sunday. And then they also had a pretty good mail order business where they sold the product to consumers, most of whom had found them at the markets. And then they had a handful of retailers. My store was one. They had a couple central markets and a few other retailers. And so our big goal has been to build it up into retail. And we have about 100 stores now that sell the granola. And we are coming out with a new branding. Our small pack, we're coming out with a new, it's called Snackola. And so it's going to be a lot of fun because it will be really the first snacking granola out in the marketplace. So
that's awesome. So I guess at first, right, it started out as being kind of a local Dallas company, and you've taken it, and your vision is to really expand it, not just across Texas, but really nationwide. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep. And so we've got some inroads with some of the large retailers, some of the natural retailers as well. And I've gotten a lot of good advice. I'm one of these crazy people that has a zillion network friends. I have a lot of folks on LinkedIn, a lot of friends from the hardware business, and I did radio for years, so I have a lot of people in the natural realm, like with Mother Earth News and that sort of thing. And I am very green oriented myself. So we've really spent the last 2 years kind of greening up this business. Like we're just about to convert all of our plastic bags over to a more sustainable bag. We're just in the final debating moments, I guess you could say, of trying to decide whether to go with recycled, recyclable, or a biodegradable. And so those are the kinds of things that we're doing. And then just in general, the business, we've made it more efficient, done a lot of things like tiny things. For instance, when I took over, a lot of the twist ties that they used on the bags were plastic. And we've converted all those to paper, because when a plastic twist tie goes into a landfill, a bird is going to look at that and think it's candy, or, think it's a piece of fruit or something because it's shiny. So we converted all those over to paper so that they just biodegrade in the landfill. And then we use a parchment paper that's a completely chemical-free parchment paper that also totally biodegrades, whereas the white type parchment paper that a lot of bakeries use has potential chemicals like chromium in it, and we don't like using that. So we want our product to be as clean and free from any additives as we can make it. So
It's amazing that you've taken this business and you've created these green initiatives and really focusing, and that you care about the environment. It's really an amazing thing. And I guess if you could maybe just kind of elaborate more, because there's a lot of competition in this space. So what would you say makes you better or more unique than your competition?
people ask me that from time to time, and I guess the taste is one of the things. I'll give you a small example. There was a 3-store grocery chain here in Dallas. I won't mention who they are, but we wanted to get into their stores. And so I kept trying and trying to meet with the young owner and get him just to try our product. And his comeback was, we have a lot of granola on the shelf, and one granola pretty well tastes like another granola. And so finally, one day, I just took a chance. I went by one of his stores and I found him outside. He was watering plants actually in their little garden center. And I basically shoved our granola up in his face and I said, "You have got to taste this. It doesn't taste like normal granola. It has a stronger flavor. We put more spices and we use exotic ingredients. Like we have a French cocoa that's in our chocolate granola. It would knock your socks off." But the particular flavor I wanted him to taste was what we call O Snap. And it was our ginger snap. We were coming into the fall. I think this was last fall. And I said, "This is going to be a crazy seller for you, particularly this time of year." And so he put it in his mouth and he said something, I'll paraphrase here a little, but he said, "Holy crap, this stuff is like crack." And that's what it tastes like. It's so delicious and the flavors are so strong. And so guess what? He put it on the shelf in all 3 of their stores and it's selling like crazy for them. So that's the trick, kind of the trick when you have something that is a common product like granola, is getting people to put that first taste in their mouth and then then they're like, wow. So that's been a little bit of a challenge.
That's amazing. I mean, that's really like true entrepreneurship hustle right there. As you go up to the owner and say, "Listen, you have to try this." That's awesome.
That's it. And so, I think once people taste it, they understand why I bought this business and why I'm so passionate about it. And again, we all need to eat healthier. Everybody on the planet right now is trying to modify their diet. I mean, look at the huge increase in the vegan movement, vegetarian lifestyle. And I'm a vegetarian and I love seeing people convert over, because I think that a plant-based diet is so much healthier for us. And so all of our granola is vegetarian. 2 of our flavors are vegan, and all of the new snackola that's coming out is going to be vegan. So we're really excited about that. And we've spent several months experimenting. One of my sons is my business partner. His name is Frank. And so he's vegan. And he has really, I guess you could say, he dove into the kitchen and said, "We are going to figure out a way to convert all these over to vegan." And it's tricky because the butter that's in our regular flavors makes the granola very rich. So we want to maintain that flavor profile and yet cut out the butter. And so that's been a challenge. And we've tried a lot of different fats and finally settled on canola oil. And the reason why we did is because it's cholesterol free. It's very easy for us to get. It's clean when we bake with it. So in our processes, it's a little faster for us and more efficient for us to be able to use canola oil. And there are some really good non-GMO canola oils available now that have a great, just a very mild flavor profile and add that little bit of richness that we need to the granola. So I think everybody's going to love the new Snackola flavors.
That's exciting. So you mentioned, big vision right now is, getting into more retailers, but obviously in 2023 and since COVID, e-commerce has been a big trend. So
Yeah.
what have you done to focus on growing your D2C channels, if at all?
So we have a mailing list and we do a mailer. As a matter of fact, it just went out today. We use Constant Contact. I'll say hi to my friends at Constant Contact. I love their email program, and it's super easy to use. And so we do a mailer usually 3 to 4 times a month, and we always have some kind of special going. Like for instance, as I mentioned, our ginger snap flavor we call O Snap. It's a very popular one right now because you can just imagine ginger snap granola with a side of pumpkin coffee, or eating it with some hot oatmeal. So as the weather gets cooler, that ginger snap spice is so delicious. And so that's our flavor of the month is our ginger snap. So everybody that orders an order online gets a little bit of our ginger snap granola. So if they get a $30 order, they get a little bag. If they buy a $50 order, they get a slightly larger bag. And we do free shipping at $50. So that was one of the things that we added that Remy, the former owner, had not done before, is that we created a level where someone could get free shipping. And so, and one of the things I will say, we're not currently on Amazon. We do have a lot of our retailers that sell direct to consumer. And so far, at least, I won't say that it might never happen. Snackola will be more likely a brand that we would put on Amazon. But right now, our White Rock Granola is not on Amazon. And so that allows our other retailers who do direct to consumer to get a little bit of a leg up where they're not competing with Amazon. So.
But do you worry? I mean, I guess Amazon is tricky, right? Because Amazon takes lots of money in fees. So, I
Yeah.
mean, do you worry about that, or are you like, I mean, for example, right? Like your website's very nice. Like to get people to come to your website and buy, like, are you running ads or you're doing social media marketing? Like you mentioned your email list, but like any other channels to get more traffic to your website and sell more products through that channel?
Sure. So we do a lot of social media. And right now, I'm the social media guru here. I would love any of you interns that are listening out there. I'd love to bring in a social media intern. But I love being a little goofy. We have fun with doing videos of our retailers and consumers. And so we've grown the social media to, I think we're close to probably about 2,500 between Facebook and Instagram. We are just getting onto TikTok. And so, again, I'm 61 years old, so learning some of this stuff is a little bit of a head, it's a head explosion, but I'm trying my best. And hopefully we'll have some fun on TikTok too, because I can just see us doing some crazy things, with our granola, throwing it at each other, that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah,
love following some of these channels that are hysterical.
I think 100%. I think people want to see the story of you and behind the scenes, like how you're making it. I think, because the taste is one thing, but it's like you want to, like for me, I haven't tasted it, but I can already feel that it tastes good. Like just you describing it. I think like showing that, in a video form, I think is
Mhm.
definitely going to help you sell more products.
Well, I think that's so true. And, again, we love promoting our retailers because really they're the ones out there taking the risk. They're giving us the shelf space, they're running ads for us and things like that. Central Market has been absolutely amazing. They often put us front and center in the departments. They'll have us come in for store demos, which I love doing. because that gives me a chance to interface directly with the consumer, where I can say, hey, what do you think of this flavor? Or, do you like the crunch on this? And we get such wonderful comments from our customers. We have actually a 5-star rating online. And so that's been very gratifying to see that we've been able to maintain that. And so, but it's fun, when we're out demoing and we give a sample to someone, particularly if they haven't tasted it before. And again, they have that wow factor and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it's light. One of the things that we do, we air bake the granola. So we use a special oven that infuses air into the process. It's like a convection oven you would have at home. And it makes the granola fluffy. It's sort of hard to explain, but it doesn't, as one of my customers said about a month ago, I was at Central Market, and young gal, probably 18 or 20, and she's like, this isn't like rocks. She said, it doesn't break my teeth the way, a lot of granola is very hard, and ours is more fluffy. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's delicious. And so that's always fun.
Makes sense. So speaking of technology in your website, are you using artificial intelligence at all in your business? And if not, what are the use cases you could see AI helping you out?
So again, we're coming out with this new snackola. Here, I'll try to show you something.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know if you can see. So this is our current snack size.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, the background messes us up a little here. So in the last year, we have had a ton of commercial customers and like real estate agents, that kind of customer, who want a little bag of granola. Maybe it's Verizon, who's one of our top customers, and they service in their headquarters. They buy a little 2-ounce pouch and they put that out for their employees at their coffee bar. Wingstop does the same, Chase Bank, Intuit. So we have a lot of these commercial customers who demanded really from us this little 2-ouncer. We weren't doing them before. This is not something the previous owners had done. So we came up with this little mini, that we call it, and that's what Snackola is going to be. It's going to be a snack size, 2 to 4 ounces, and it will be something that somebody can throw in their backpack, or you can pack one in your kid's lunch, that sort of thing. Have it in the car for when you get the munchies. And so that's the first time I've been using AI. Is I will use it for something like help me come up with a description for our nutty maple snackola. And I'll tell you what, what is it, Chat GPT? That's the coolest thing on the planet, because I can put in just simple parameters like that. Describe or give me some intro text for nutty maple snackola, and it will give me a dissertation. You could write a college paper on it. And so it's fun to have that other person, if you want to call the AI another person, to help me brainstorm, give me some keywords, maybe help me just think a little bit better. And it's almost like having a team of 3 or 4 people around me who were all coming up with ideas, except it's the computer coming up with ideas. So I always try hard not to ever use anything out of Chat GPT verbatim, but it's more of helping me think better, helping my thoughts clarify a little bit better. Sorry about that. So have you been using it? Have you guys had fun with it?
Yeah, I mean, so we work a lot with AI. I mean, AI is something that like we've seen use cases, for example, for e-commerce brands. Like imagine like high-level chatbots, so kind of improving the customer experience with AI, and saying, hey, like I recommend this product. What's the occasion? What are you looking for? Are you a vegan? Okay, that it's kind of like these kinds of conversations, and we've seen AI be good use cases for e-commerce brands.
I agree. And, AI has its place. I think people still have their place. And there's nothing like a personal conversation. People are always surprised that we have a toll-free number that folks can call if they want to place an order. And I answer the phone most of the time. And I like that. I want to be able to talk to the customer. I want to be able to interface directly. So I hope that at least for a long time, we have a human being that is the one answering our phone and chatting with the customer online. Eventually, I think AI is going to get to the point where it can certainly help filter out some things. So like you say, if you're vegan, maybe it funnels you to someone who can speak to you more on the vegan products or whatever that a company might have. But I hope we never get to the point where, we rely on AI completely. I like having that human interface.
No, for sure, exactly. It's like I always tell people, I'm like, I don't think AI is out to take any jobs. I think it's more of just making our lives easier and saving
Right.
people time and saying, hey, listen, like as opposed to your point, somebody asking a basic question, they can just communicate with the chat, but oh, like what are the vegan options? Like what do you recommend as opposed to like, yeah, someone's hey, can I place an order for my company? And that, I think there's always going to be like it's like a place for both, if that makes sense.
I think that's the way to go. So hopefully it'll stay that way for a long time, at least my lifetime.
Exactly. So what would you say is the biggest challenge you're facing right now in your business?
Um, the same challenge a lot of people have, which is finding staffing. We have some great people, but we are getting ready, we hope, with Snackola to make kind of a big growth spurt. And so I've been running a couple ads, and it's challenging to find good folks that we can, bring into the team. So I know a lot of small businesses are challenged in that way. Um, Finding funding, that's been a challenge because we're small and we are growing, but we're basically at a break-even point right now financially. And so a lot of the banks and VC money, and which is like a large investor, they want to see profitability first. And we've been reinvesting everything back into the business. As we make a profit, we put it right back into equipment, staffing, those kinds of things. And so I think, like any small business, I mean, all you have to do is turn on Shark Tank and you understand that funding is always an issue. And then just getting the word out. Again, I'm 61, and so I'm a pretty savvy tech person. I've always been an early adopter. Like I had a Mac before they were on the market. I actually got my first Mac from one of our friends who was a Mac salesman. And as you and I are talking, I'm on a Mac laptop right now. I've never not had one. So I was an early adopter of a lot of computers and technology. But still, as I get older, it's harder and harder to learn the newest thing. So that's a little challenging. And
Yeah,
then
that makes sense.
and then one other thing I've found, people ask me a lot, wasn't it hard for you being a woman in business and I had a hardware store, I hosted a home improvement radio show. I did a lot of things that were traditional male roles. I never noticed the glass ceiling. I never really had a lot of trouble with misogyny or anything like that. I just sort of blundered through, I guess. So for me, I was just accepted. And but I have noticed as I've gotten older, most of the young companies and the young entrepreneurs are in their 30s. They're where I was 30 years ago. And if I would say that there's one thing that's been a challenge, it's being an older entrepreneur. I think a lot of times people don't take me as seriously. They think, oh, she's making granola, on the kitchen table or whatever. They don't see a seasoned entrepreneur who's owned multiple companies. And so that's been a little bit of a challenge. But again, I'm the type, I just say, well, okay, that's your perception. It's not who I am. And I just push through and go on and do it anyway. So
No, I think it's your point. Experience is so valuable. I was just going to ask, if you mentioned profitability, as of right now, like what's your average monthly revenue?
So we're at about pushing 20,000 monthly right now. So we'll do in the 250 range this year. We expect to double that or maybe even triple that next year. So we've been in a little bit of a holding pattern for several months because we were trying to get our own commercial kitchen. We just got that set up and got moved in earlier this year. So until we had our own space, it was really hard to start growing. And then Snackola, we have a few snags waiting on things like the trademark. getting the biodegradable and/or recyclable packaging all worked out. So some of those things, converting those recipes over to vegan and doing our test batches where not only did it taste good, but it had the right amount of crumble or solidity so that when you put it in the packaging, it doesn't just become mush. You want to have some chunks and some crumble so that you can sprinkle it on your yogurt, but you can still reach in and grab a chunk and eat it. So things like that took months to work out and develop were some delays. But next year in 2024, we hope to really explode. And it'll be interesting to see our growth.
That's exciting, and we're rooting for you. So I guess if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you, do you mind sharing your website or the best way for somebody to get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So the website is just whiterockgranola.com. And my email address is info@whiterockgranola.com. Please reach out. I'm happy to hear from you. And of course, we're on Facebook and Instagram and now TikTok. So you can find us just at White Rock Granola on all the social media platforms. And Snackola, we just got set up on Instagram and Facebook and on TikTok. And it's all under Eat Snackola. So our website is eatsnackola.com. Everything else is just Eat Snackola. And so please like us on social media so we can build that up as well. And it's going to be a fun, funky brand. My son, as I mentioned, he's coming in to help a lot more, and he wants to give it that crazy, funky added twist. So I'm looking forward to, getting that infusion of fun and crazy.
That's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time. We really enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully we can chat again in 1 year from now as your company keeps growing.
I love it. All right. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And one of these days, if I get my new business podcast started, we'll have to flip the tables and you'll come on my show.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. All right. Bye, Andrea.
Bye-bye.